Hello, my dear subscribers. I have some important news to share with you today. If you haven't seen my last video, I want to let you know that my old channel, Strange Stories, has been discontinued. This has happened because Google has disabled my AdSense account without any reason or warning. I was devastated to lose the channel that I've been working on for so long, but I didn't let it stop me. Instead, I created a new channel called Fascinating Stories. Fascinating Stories is all about the same topic as Strange Stories, near-death experiences. It features the same amazing testimonies sent from viewers like you, and I'm really excited about the new content that I'm creating. So if you love hearing about these incredible stories and want to keep following me on this journey, please subscribe to Fascinating Stories and hit the notification bell so you won't miss a thing. It would mean the world to me to have your support on this new channel. Thank you so much for listening. I hope to see you on my new channel soon.
Both of my parents are Christians, and with the influence of my family, I grew up believing that God is real. The best gift God has given me, in my opinion, is this experience. I was afraid of being labeled as crazy, therefore I didn't talk about these events with many others. My mom had cancer and died when I was 11 years old. I pleaded to God not to take my mother away before she passed away. My supplications were not heard. I was in a constant state of mourning for a short while following her passing. One night, while I was resting in bed, I suddenly felt my body turn paralyzed. Despite my best efforts, I was unable to move. It absolutely terrified me. I experienced the soul leaving my body. I started climbing up. I entered a really long tunnel. A definite light source was present at the tunnel's end. I was going pretty fast through the tunnel. Around me, there were a lot of little balls of light. I was aware that these spheres of light represented other people's souls. Together with me, they were passing through the tunnel. After some while, I joined them at the tunnel's exit. In the distance, I noticed a big square structure. I took my time to appreciate the area's splendor. They should have been heading towards the building as several souls swiftly passed me. A lush, verdant meadow was all around me. Here, the grass gets really tall. Everything in this room was lit. There's a sea of flowers to my right. The blooms have incredibly vivid colors. I was approaching the structure. It appeared to be hanging in the air. I could see numerous enormous crystals at the bottom of it as I drew nearer. The crystals came in a wide range of hues. I'd never before seen a structure like that. Every gem was enormous. Some of them reached nearly 10 floors in height. This place cannot be destroyed, in my opinion. I was immediately at ease. I felt very secure as a result of that. When I peered up, I was able to see the building's top. I became aware of how small I was as I stood in front of the structure. On the side of the structure, I noticed 3 doorways. The door's material had a pearly appearance. There were 2 large stone pillars on either side of the door. I halted at the entrance. Countless souls entered the gates without stopping. I cast my gaze to the ground. That looked like incredibly thick glass, but this glass wasn't entirely clear. Even though I couldn't see God there, I could still feel His presence. Now that I was not prepared, I felt incredibly torn inside. I'm not ready to say goodbye to my father and brother yet. I don't want to be a conceited individual. I was aware that my father was struggling greatly when my mother departed. Even though he's only 5 years old, my younger brother still requires attention. I was aware that if I went through the gate, I would be lost forever. The second memory is a little hazy in my mind. At that time, an angel, as I recall, appeared. I spoke with him for a very long time, telling him everything that was inside of me. My mother, is she here? I asked the angel. She had recently passed away. It'll take some time before your mother arrives here, the angel replied. Hearing this news really made me feel relieved. The angel finally dispatched me back. After that, I was filled with excitement for months. It was indescribable. I owe God so much for allowing me to experience what home is like. Do you believe paradise is what she described to us after hearing the first tale? Please share your opinions in the comment area. Following is our second story of the day. When I was 25 years old, I made a terribly bad decision. My boyfriend and I had been dating for 2 years at the time. I had a great love for my guy. He was a humorous man, and we always got along great. He ultimately cheated on me with another female I knew, though. When I went to talk to my boyfriend about it, he responded calmly by asking us to stop our relationship. I was in a terrible state. I drank half a bottle of whiskey after taking a box of cephalexin. I gradually became unconscious. When my mother returned, she discovered me on the floor and dialed 911. I was brought to a hospital. I'm not sure how long it took, but eventually I felt myself getting out of bed. I stood up off the ground. I discovered I was in a hospital bed. A column of blue light appeared in front of me to my left. "It's okay. We'll save you," I heard a voice say. My hand was taken by two angels as they prepared to leave the area. When I turned around, I saw the medical professionals attempting to revive me. My mother was in the hospital hallway, and it was clear that she was really concerned about me. Angels spoke. "Time is of essence. We must depart immediately." They led me within the light pillar. We embarked on an incredible journey. I temporarily closed my eyes since the motion and the light made me feel uneasy. I occasionally opened my eyes out of curiosity. I passed the fabled staircase to heaven on the way there. Someone was holding a cat up the stairway to heaven. Several clouds were also visible to me. The line of people waiting to enter the gates of heaven was also visible to me. I was placed in a room close to the gate by the angel. My room's walls were composed of clouds. After spending some time here, I became quite bored. I was itching to explore. "Do not do this," a voice said. "You'll regret it afterwards." "There, you'll get lost." I was furious because I only wanted to leave this planet and was unwilling to carry on with my existence elsewhere. I questioned whether this was heaven. Next to me, I noticed a stool that was also constructed of clouds. I sat on it because I was interested. It was much warmer and felt softer than the sofa. One of the room's walls eventually started to continuously revolve. There were 3 persons standing there when it opened like an elevator door. My granny was one of them. Another woman I didn't recognize. Little lad was the 3rd person. The young man came in and sat down next to me with joy. He inquired as to what had occurred. I struggled to interact with new people. I told him everything because I could tell he was honest. He then took me on an incredible journey. I abruptly awoke on a grassy area. I overheard a conversation. I silently stood up because I wanted to hear the conversation. In front of me, I could make out a rundown house. I noticed a pretty bad scent as a breeze blew. I could see the conversationalists. Really, they weren't human. In costumes, they resembled werewolves. They saw me and sprinted over to me. They were fleeing in the same direction as the animals I saw. They questioned my identity. What is my origin? A rift in the sky suddenly appeared at that same instant. An enormous red creature jumped out. It had 4 eyes and horns covering its head. Its corpse gave out an awful odor. It never stopped roaring. Curses and other offensive words were used frequently. It seized me before retreating into the chasm. On a floating platform, we touched down. Around me, there were a lot of rectangles. Separate rectangles each existed. I discovered later that this was hell. Each rectangle was made specifically for a distinct soul. Each commits a separate sin. Hence, hell is a dynamic place. They will be tortured by the devil here. The agony of people is enjoyable to the devils. I walked up to the rectangle and was drawn in. There was nothing in the red chamber, which is empty. You remain inside and are limited to standing. I spent some time in there, and as I did, my mood grew progressively more melancholy. I started pleading with God to get me out of this place. I felt a force pull me out of the cube. The devil's screaming could be heard as I was leaving. The devils made an attempt to return me, but they were unsuccessful. I was knelt in a cave as I opened my eyes once more. The cave was really small. I was unable to make any sense of it. I was incredibly alone. In the pitch blackness, I tried to find the exit, but it was too challenging. I was drenched from head to toe and shivered bitterly. I spent some time crawling in the tunnel before spotting a blazing red light in front of me. When I arrived at the door, I noticed a number of individuals knelt on the floor. Flames that were burning filled the cave to the ceiling. I noticed a young woman kneeling down with a rope around her neck. Screams could be heard off in the distance. I made an effort to interact with those people. I was curious about this location. "Don't talk or I'll be next," one man warned me. Suddenly, a big demon came out of another cave, pulled one of the men into the cave by grabbing him. I started to fear that I would come next. I wanted to pray and close my eyes. I realized I couldn't close my eyes in this situation. Around me, everyone appeared to be zombies. You're not allowed to close your eyes or converse with anyone else in this area. Just knelt there. Staring at the hole is your only option. Hope you're not the next one as you listen to the cries of others. I heard a voice telling me, there may be a way to save you. How am I going to do it? I asked myself. Say the words, Jesus, please save me, the voice instructed. I actually voiced the words. Come back, the voice commanded. I said it over and over. Unexpectedly, a robed man with a blinding light surrounding him emerged above me. The yells that had been around me stopped. I showed up somewhere else. I observed a man seated on a sizable stone chair. A winged angel was standing next to him. She was over there on his left. The Virgin Mary was the woman on the left, and I later discovered that it was Jesus. Jesus had a disappointed expression on his face, which made me feel extremely guilty. Tell us what brought you here, the angel commanded. I began to explain that I didn't believe the world was just and that I no longer wished to remain there. Who told you that this world is fair? Jesus asked as he turned to face me. Jesus then instructed the angel to take me there. He led me into a spacious hall. I questioned him. Where is this location? There's something to show me, he informed me. A number of people walked out after the door opened. We went inside. The center of the room was occupied by a huge round table. On the circular table was a three-dimensional show. A senior citizen approached me. Why are you here? He asked. I believe that life has not treated me fairly. Heaven, he said, is a secure place where spirits are guarded. Each has a location they call home. Your actions on earth determine the location. Heaven's soul is not an exception. He told me, I have entered into a bargain with the Creator. I must carry out this agreement or face the repercussions of doing otherwise. I've also been cautioned. I had no choice but to go back and do my task. I was silent throughout. It wasn't a very polite thing to do in my opinion. I assumed he was simply an elderly man with a negative attitude. He eventually ejected us from the space. I turned to Jesus again. Jesus admonished me, Go back, since your time has not yet expired. He was to guard me, I informed him, and if I had to go back, I wanted him to take care of things. My child, I cannot make other people suffer. I can only bring relief to those who are in agony, he continued as he turned to face me. Do you understand why I rescued you from the torment? Jesus inquired. No, I answered. Remember the man in the robe in hell, he said. I recognized in that moment that Jesus had been protecting me. I cupped my head in my hands and started sobbing heartily. I sobbed and wanted to stay. Give me a chance, Jesus pleaded. Then, prepared to leave again, I entered the tunnel. As I returned to my body, I felt my heart beating. I spent a few days in the hospital lying in that position. Upon awakening, Jesus was there, I informed the nurse. The nurse gave me a pretty odd look as she glanced at me. I knew she was wondering what I had said. I finally left the hospital a few days later. My life was altered by this encounter. Although I never saw my ex-boyfriend again, I have forgiven him anyway.